Peace was good. Welcome to another install my CD collection. This is part 39. I know it's been maybe about 2 weeks since I've done one, but without further ado, here's the first CD that I'm gonna show you guys for today. Is Visionaries Galleries. This is their first album. I showed you guys that their second album, Sophomore Jinx, which I have in my collection. This is their first album. Glad to pick this up. This is like more of a blind buy. Well, not really a blind buy, but like picked it up. This joint this is the re-release version. This came out in this was released in 2004, but it was actually released in 1997 or 1998, I should say. If you guys know, Visionaries, they consist of members of I know Elemento, DJ Rhythmatic, Key Cool, 2Max, and can't remember the other dude's name, but I know it was. But you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this is their first time that came out with. Very dope, very gritty, very you know what I mean. Very gritty underground sounding shit. You know what I mean. Glad to own this. Galleries, released in 1997 or 2004. Then we got Dante, Professional Girls Man, released in 1995. This is a dancehall CD. This was like more of a blind buy. Like I love dancehall from the 90s, you know what I mean? So anything from the 90s when it pertains to dancehall, I'm definitely picking up. But yeah, this one was actually pretty good. I actually liked it, man. Never don't know who he is, but I picked it up, liked it, very dope. If you can find it, definitely pick it up. This is the promo copy, obviously, but it's just like the real album. I know with promo albums, they have the annoying ass coming soon to stores, that bullshit. Like you don't hear none of that shit with this shit, so thank God for that. But yeah, Dante, Professional Girls Man, released in 1995. Then we got Vodo Mega's debut album, The Revolution of Young Havoks, released in 2004. Vodo Mega, you guys might know him from he's like one half of Cannibal Ox, him and Vastair, and also he was him and Vastair or Cannibal Ox, just to say, at one point was part of the Addams Family, which unfortunately they're not making music anymore. They branched off and shit like that, doing their own thing. I know for sure that Cryptic One, he's still making music. I mean, he just put out an album not too long ago, and he has a Bandcamp, like he put like instrumentals that he's done back in the 90s and as well as the 2000s. But yeah, but Vodo Mega, Revolution, Young Havoks, yeah, like I said, this is his debut album, released in 2004 or 04. Just to let you know, this album it's nothing like the Cannibal Ox sound. It doesn't really have that sound, so you might be a little disappointed with that. But yeah, glad to own it. Just check it out. We'll do a review eventually. But yeah, Vodo Mega's debut album, released in 04. Then we got Nonchalant, Until the Day, released in 1996. Nonchalant, she's an MC from DC or Washington DC or Chocolate City. Not too much. There's not really much information about her. All I know is that she put out this album in '96. This is like the only album she ever put out. The only singles off this album, I believe, are 5 O'Clock, which was like a biggest single off the album. It was like a big hit back in '96. And Until the Day, the self-titled song of the album, was also a single as well. But 5 O'Clock, yeah, that was a single. By the way, if you guys go on YouTube and you check out the 5 O'Clock K-Def remix, whoo, kills that shit, fucking ill. I definitely recommend you checking that out. Yeah, but yeah, Nonchalant, Until the Day, released in 1996. This is actually out of print, so if you can find it, definitely pick it up. It shouldn't be too expensive, so yeah, but glad to own this shit right here. Definitely will be doing a review on this album. Nonchalant, Until the Day, released in 1996. Then we got Cypress Hill's 4th album, hence name 4. This was released in 1998. Yeah, man, I'm glad to own this shit too. This album's actually it's actually a little hard to find. I've been trying to look for this album for years, but finally got my hands on it. Got it. I know the singles off this album are, I believe Tequila Sunrise was a single, and Dr. Green Thumb was a single as well. But definitely Dr. Green Thumb was definitely, there's a video for that, and I believe Tequila Sunrise was a single as well. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, man, fucking glad to own this album. Definitely will be doing a review on this album. Cypress Hill 4, released in 1998. Alright. Then we got Domino. Got his second album, Physical Funk. Domino, you guys might know him from the early 90s. Known for his songs like Sweet Potato Pie. Ghetto Jam was a big song. Big hit back in the 90s. Back in like the early 90s, like 93, 94. I remember first hearing Ghetto Jam back in like, I think in the summer of 93. I remember niggas used to play that shit like back in the, I mean I was 6 years old, but I remember shit like that. And you go to hear that song Ghetto Jams on Medicine Society movie. You can hear it in the background being played and shit like that. But getting back to this shit, the singles off this album I believe are the self-titled album song, Physical Funk, and Soul Fly was a single as well. But yeah, this is his second album, Physical Funk, released in 1996. This is actually out of print as well, so if you can find it, definitely pick it up. Then we got the Luniz, Operation Stackola. Operation Stackola, released in 1995. Luniz, they were known as the Looney Tunes at one point. They had to change their name because of, the Warner Brothers and shit like that. So Warner Brothers, holding the title Looney Tunes, so they just changed it to Looniz. This was Yuck Mouth's old group, so yeah, Operation Stackola. I believe the only single off the album, I believe, was I Got 5 on it, which was like the biggest single in their whole career. It's the biggest single off the album. This is actually their best selling album. Yeah, very dope album. Definitely classic G-Funk, West Coast hip hop that I miss. Unfortunately, because right now, like, unfortunately everywhere, not just the West Coast, but even in New York, Chicago, they're just trying to like follow the I don't know, like the South and shit like that with the, I don't know, just like, man, it fucking pisses me off, man, because people say, oh, you stuck in the 90s. It's not that I'm stuck in the 90s. The thing is that back then people were like more creative, people had their own sound, it's just like, it was different, man. It's just like people had their own identity, and that's what I miss. You don't really get that no more, you know what I mean? Even everybody's just trying to find what's trending right now, and kind of like lost their fucking identity and shit with that. So, but yeah, Luniz, Operation Stackola, released in 1995. Glad to own this album. Then we got Total Devastation, self-titled album, released in 1993. Yeah, if you guys like Cypress Hill, Funk Dubious, like groups like that, then you'll definitely enjoy this group. Singles off this album is Many Clouds of Smoke, and I believe Wonderful World of Skins. Yeah, I believe those are the only two singles off this album. If you guys check on YouTube, check out the Wonderful World of Skins, the Diamond D remix. Fucking sick. Definitely check that shit out. Total Devastation, also known as Legalize It, I guess, but I think this is the self-titled album. This is their first album, released in 1993. This is also actually out of print as well. Then we got Warren G's second album, Take a Look Over Your Shoulder. Yeah, I think that's what it's called, yeah. Yeah, Take a Look Over Your Shoulder, released in 1997. This is 3 years after his Regulate G-Funk Era album, which I do have in my collection. Singles off this album are Smoking Me Out, which was a single, and I Shot the Sheriff, which he kind of replays the the EPMD, he does like kind of like a remake of that song. But yeah, Smoking Me Out and I Shot the Sheriff was a single as well. Yeah, lots on it. Then we got a group called 456, released Nu Day Dawnin, released in 1999. This was like more like a blind buy for me. There's not too much information about these guys. All I know is that they're from Queens, New York. And you know, yeah, fucking, you know, typical late 90s East Coast hip hop, you know what I mean? Just like, you got your gangster shit and you got your, you know, party songs and stuff like that. It's not a bad album. But yeah, 456, Nu Day Dawnin, released in 1999. This is actually out of print as well. Then we got Saafir's second album, The Hit List, released in 1999. Saafir, everybody knows him as Cousin Harold from Menace to Society, the one that got killed after the party and shit when they, you know, got stuck up by those dudes and shit like that. In Menace to Society, classic movie. He's known for his affiliation with Digital Underground, and he was part of the, and he had his own group called the Hobo Junctions. He's known for the big battle he had with Casual of the Hieroglyphics crew. That was like a historical battle. I mean, it's on YouTube. It's like mad long, but yeah, came out with his first album, Boxcar Sessions, which I do have in my collection, and then came out this album, The Hit List. I believe the only single of this album is called Crow Before You Ball. That was the only single of this album. Yeah, glad to own this shit. Yeah, promo copy, you know, fucking, or whatever. But like I said, it's not doing that whole coming soon, you know, such and such album is coming at this date. You know, I hate that shit. That shit is annoying as fuck. Doesn't do that with this album, thank God. But yeah, Saafir, The Hit List, released in 1999. So much time I got left. Alright, still got time. Alright, Defari, I believe this is his second album, Odds and Even, released in 2003. Defari, for those who don't know, he's an MC from LA. He's known for his affiliation with I guess with Dilated Peoples at some point. He's affiliated with them, and some affiliation with the Alcoholics as well, because E Swift, shout out to E Swift, dope producer, very underrated producer. He helped Defari with the recording of his first album, Focus Daily, which I'm trying to get my hands on, but that shit's actually out of print. It's hard to find. But yeah, fucking yeah, came out with that album, Focus Daily. That's an underground classic by many. Fucking sick. Trying to get my hands on that. And then, you know, came out this album, and he's also part of the whole Liquid crew, the Barbershop MCs, and all that shit. Came out with his second album, this shit right here, Odds and Evens. Like I said, 2003. Yeah, this album is actually not bad. It's actually not a bad album. As you can see, it's kind of, you get like water damage. Whoever had the album, you know, probably had this shit in the rain or some shit, whatever. Probably got flooded. But yeah, glad to own this. This album's actually out of print, so if you can find this album, definitely pick it up. Yeah, Defari, Odds and Evens, released in 2003. Got Nada's playing back in the background and shit. What's that song called? I think it's called Hands on Your Nutsack, off their second album, Blasphemy, released in 1994. Very dope album. Then we got the Kru Innocent, released in 2001. This was like a blind buy for me, but when I remember Innocent Kru, I remember them from the Strictly the Best series. They had that song, I believe it was called Mission Impossible, off that Strictly the Best. There was like a whole bunch of them shits, but I forgot what volume. But that came like back, I believe back in like '97, with they used a sample of Mission Impossible, but which I believe is on this song, which is on this album if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but whatever. You guys know what I mean. But yeah, very, very dope. I like it a lot. this was, like I said, released in 2001. So if you guys like late 90s dancehall like I do, you know, early 2000s dancehall, 2001, 2002, then you'll definitely enjoy this album right here. Innocent Kru by Innocent by Innocent Kru, released in 2001. Then we got Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith with Code Red. This is their 5th and last album that they ever made together. I believe the singles off this album are Boom Shake the Room. I believe was the biggest single off the album. There were other ones too, but I can't remember the other. I think something like this was a single. But yeah, I actually enjoyed this album. You know, I know, yeah, a lot of people give them shit because they're like poppy and all that, but the beats on this shit, like, it's like the beats are like really hardcore. I mean, not hardcore like gangster shit, but it's the beats are like more harder compared to the other albums, like where the albums like the other beats were like kind of like more playful, it was like very safe and stuff like that. With this, they kind of went more street edge with the production wise. Yeah, I fucking loved it. Not loved it, but I like it. I actually enjoyed it. But yeah, Code Red by Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, released in 1993. Obviously this is actually out of print as well, but if you can find it, definitely pick it up. Then we got Prince Paul, his second album, A Prince Among Thieves, released in 1999. Yeah. Prince Paul, for those who don't know who he is, he was the DJ for Sonic for back in the day, from back in the mid to late 80s. And then he's responsible for being part of like the formation of De La Soul and all that shit. You know, De La Soul, they're big innovators in hip hop and shit like that. You know, he was part of like De La Soul. He was part of you know, the Grave Diggers. And he had a whole bunch of other groups. He had people like the Horror City, which was like a MCs from like, I think from his town, from Amityville. It was kind of like a I guess like a Long Island version of like Grave Diggers, because they were kind of on that, you know, hardcore tip too. Then he had something to do with the Metabolics, which consists of Mr. Dead and I forgot the other dude's name. But yeah, this is the second album. Supposedly this is supposed to be like a concept album, you know. But yeah, glad to own this album. This is actually out of print. If you can find it, definitely pick it up. I need to get his first album, Psychoanalysis. What is this? This came out back in '96. I don't have that in my collection, but definitely gotta pick that album up. A Prince Among Thieves by Prince Paul, released in 1999. Then we got Tash, Rap Life, released in 1999. Tash, he's the lead rapper of the group Alcoholics. This is his first album, his debut album. Yeah, glad to own this album. This album is actually long out of print. I believe the singles off this album are I believe Rap Life was a single as well. Yeah, I believe Rap Life and Bermuda Triangle was a single. Yeah, fucking dope. I mean, glad to own this album. If you guys are familiar with Alcoholics, you know they're all about partying, drinking, fucking chicks, and all that good shit. You know what to expect with this album, so it's no different from the Alcoholic stuff. But yeah, Rap Life by Tash, released in 1999. Pick it up if you can find it. Definitely pick it up. Then we got Encore with Self-Preservation, released in 2000. For those who don't know who Encore is, he's an MC from the Bay Area, I believe. He's known for his affiliation with Peanut Butter Wolf. You know, so if you guys like early Stones Throw type of stuff, then you'll definitely enjoy this album. You know, he came out with a couple singles before this album, 12 inches, I should say. He came out with joints called what's the shit? Defined by the Dollar, which came out back in like 96, 97. and he came out with a joint called Ice Age that came out in 1998, and then 2 years later he came out with this album. Who I like to compare him to, you know, cats like Planet Asia, Rascal, you know, cats like that. If you like that kind of hip hop, then you'll definitely enjoy this album. This is actually a pretty good album. This was a blind buy for me, but then when I looked them up, I'm like, oh, that dude Encore from, you know, from that song Defined by the Dollar, and also that song The Essence, which was Defined by the Dollar was like the B-side to The Essence, which came out in 96, 97. But yeah, glad to own this shit right here. Very dope, very underrated. Dope underground West Coast hip hop, man. Very dope. Encore Self-Preservation, released in 2000, excuse me. Then we got Sir Menelik, the Einstein Rosen Bridge, released in 2005. For those who know who Sir Menelik is, he's also known as Scaramanga. He known for his affiliates with Kool Keith and Godfather Don. I believe this is his, I don't want to say his second album because he put out other albums, but his other albums like Cobra Commander and like Snake Eyes and all that shit, those are like more like underground releases that are like hard to find. It's like impossible to find, and if you do find them, they go for like a pretty penny, you know what I mean? I definitely need to get his album, the Seven Eyes, Seven Tails album. No, I think it's called Seven Horns and Seven Tails, Seven Eyes, some shit like that. That came out back in like '98, which I'm trying to get my hands on, but it's hard to find. But yeah, finally got this album. Glad to own it. My only gripe with this album is that the mixing is bad. Like, you know, it's very hard to hear. Like, it sounds like it's like in mono or some shit like that. It's badly recorded. That's my only gripe with this album. But other than that, glad to own it. Definitely pick it up if you can find it. Got this for like $2, some $2 or $3. So I got lucky and found this. By the way, all the CDs I got, these are from the FYE that I went up. From the CD hall I got like a couple months ago. So just trying to finish that off and shit. Then we got Soul Position. Things Go Better with R and J, RJ and Al. Excuse me, RJD2 and Blueprint together make Soul Position. This is actually their second album. A lot of people consider this their best album. Yeah, I heard it. I'll let you know what I think about that. But yeah, Soul Position. Things Go Better with RJ and Al. This was released in 2006. So if you guys are familiar with Rhyme Stayers, you guys should be familiar with this album. And last but not least, Shabaam and Sahdeeq with Strategize with DJ Revolution. This was released in 2006. This is like more like a mixtape. So I don't think this is actually like an album. Even though it's like more of an album, it's like more like a mixtape, I guess, or a street album, let's just say. But that's it, people. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Stay tuned for more videos. Peace.